5, 1959, 21 black boys died in a building fire after being left alone and locked inside of their dormitory at a neglected and segregated reform school in Arkansas. The young men were living at the Negro Boys Industrial School, a juvenile work farm located 1 mile outside of the predominantly black community of Wrightsville, then an unincorporated town 13 miles south of Little Rock. Boys between the ages of 13 and 17 who were orphaned, homeless, or considered delinquent because of extremely minor crimes were sent to live at the school, in many instances for the pettiest of offenses. The teen boys were forced to live in horrific conditions even prior to the deadly fire. When sociologist Gordon Morgan toured and documented NBIS in 1956, he reported, quote, "Many boys go for days with only rags for clothes. More than half of them wear neither socks nor underwear. It is not uncommon to see youths going for weeks without bathing or changing clothes." The water at the school was also considered undrinkable. The night of the fire, the boys' dormitory was completely abandoned by staff and was locked from the outside. While 48 of the young men managed to save themselves from the fire by jumping out of a window, 21 teenagers remained trapped and burned to death piled on top of each other in one corner of the room. The same morning of the tragic fire, and in characteristic fashion, then-Governor Orville Faubus went on the attack, insinuating at a press conference that the black superintendent, Lester R. Gaines, was to blame for the deaths of the boys. He implied failure to ensure the safety of the boys by having an employee at the building at night in case of an emergency is the cause of the deaths, despite his personal knowledge of the school's deteriorating condition for 3 years prior. A committee investigated the fire, but ultimately no one was ever held responsible for the deaths. The state of Arkansas ended up awarding each of the boys' families between $3,300 and $5,900 in damages for their losses. However, white attorneys representing the families took as much as half that amount in compensation. One family reported receiving only $1,400. The rising civil rights movement of the 1960s and the resistance to it by Arkansas's white supremacist establishment eventually overshadowed the incident in Arkansas and national history. Frank Lawrence, the younger brother of one of the victims, Lindsey Cross, told reporters in a 2017 interview that the fire was a carefully calculated murder that involved 21 boys but was designed to kill 69. Lawrence has since dedicated his life to uncovering the truth about what actually happened that night, which he refers to as the secret Holocaust, but to many others, the fire was deemed a massacre of young black boys. On April 21, 2018, a monument was placed in Haven of Rest Cemetery in Little Rock, where 14 of the 21 victims, those who could not be identified, had been buried in an unmarked mass grave. Today, the Arkansas Department of Corrections runs an adult prison called the Wrightsville Unit on the land where NBIS was formerly located. On April 25, 2019, a monument to the dead was unveiled at the Wrightsville Unit of the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Coincidence? Nah. But if you didn't know, now you know.